Hello, beautiful people. It's Cecilia. Welcome back to Ancient Healing Crystals. Today we are going to be talking about the energy and the practical side of pricing your services, pricing your crystals, pricing and marking up retail, the energy behind pricing. So let's get into this. There's so freaking much I can say about abundance. So I just want to say this to start. Keep educating yourself on this beyond just this video, beyond your first $1,000, $10,000, $100,000 in your business, beyond every single achievement you have and everything you learn and every way that you shift into deeper abundance. Continue to learn, continue to expand, continue to be open. So I'm going to share about pricing in particular, but there is a whole lot more about abundance that you can continue to learn. And as you build this solid foundation in yourself of trust in yourself, trust in the universe, trust in infinite abundance, it will start to make more sense. It will get easier and it will all continue to come together. What you are going through right now, whatever it is guiding you to your highest, deepest experience of true abundance, which is more than enough. Trust in you, trust in life, joy in what you do, feeling good about everything you spend and receive, all those good things. So there's my little mini abundance spiel. Let's get into pricing. So the standard markup for retail, and you can apply the energetics of pricing to a literal crystal you're selling, like a literal physical object, if you buy something wholesale and then resell it for retail, or you can apply the energy to a service like coaching or doing nails or whatever, like commissions, art, drawing, whatever it is, courses, digital courses, books, literally whatever it is. I will say this: there are people at every single price point. There are customers at every single price point, and there are businesses to reach customers at every single price point. And so your job as a business owner is to find what feels good to you always and allow yourself to evolve. So we'll get more into this, but there are customers at every price point. There are people who will only scour the internet for giveaways and free crystals and free whatever and free this, free that, free that. There are customers that literally don't want to pay for anything. There are customers who will only buy $1 to $5 crystals. That is their max. They are not going to go any farther than that. That's what they're comfortable with. That's where they're at, but they're going to keep buying there. There are customers who are only going to buy $50 crystals. There are customers who are only going to buy $500 crystals. They don't go down to the level of $5 or $50 crystals very often. There are customers who are only going to buy $5,000 crystals. And this isn't just about crystals. This is about everything. There are people who are going to look at like a $500 coaching service and be like, that's too cheap. I don't trust that. And there are people who are going to look at a $500 coaching service and say, that is way too expensive. That's ridiculous. Who would pay for that? And there are people who are going to look at a $500 coaching service and say, wow, that is exactly what I need. That's the value that I need. I'm so excited for this. I'm going to make it work. There are customers at every price point. It's energy. It is literally all energy. So when pricing physical items, the general rule of thumb that I've heard And this is literally just what has come to me in my experience. The general rule of thumb is 2.5 times wholesale, or 3 times if you have a business with large overhead expenses such as rent. I don't have large overhead expenses, so I don't know what the markup general rule of thumb is for having a physical business where you're paying rent as well. That is something that you can kind of work out with math. Like, okay, if I buy this crystal for $5 and I sell it for $15, how many crystals am I going to have to sell to make rent? That is something that you can figure out depending on your overhead. The general rule of thumb that I've heard is 2.5 to 3 times generally for retail. You, with your pricing, the other thing I want to say about this is before following this rule of thumb, this 2.5 to 3 times, which is I use it a lot. It's a great way to price out kind of like polished pieces. If you sell crystals, it's a great way to price out, I don't know, like clothes or like physical items that are all similar. Like a polished crystal, I could get like 10 of these labradorite roses that are pretty much the exact same, and then it's a great way to just be like, okay, I got it for $5 wholesale, I'm going to sell it for $15 retail, and then I can price them all out at once. It's easy. Boom, done. Raw, a little bit different. Services, a little bit different. Now, this is where your energy is so important in your pricing. I have seen it in my husband's business. I have seen it in mine. The most important thing when pricing your products or services is your energy. Does it feel really good to you? Does the price feel aligned? Do you feel really good selling that crystal at that price, that product at that price, that service at that price? Does it feel good to you? And the way that you are going to be able to sell your products for higher prices and therefore make a higher profit, especially off of digital products or services where it's exchanging your time, valuing your time for higher amounts of money, valuing your energy for higher amounts of money, you're going to be able to scale your service, your business, your crystals, whatever you are selling, when you continually to recognize your value, work on your internal value, your internal abundance, your internal connection to your worthiness. And this might sound like it has nothing to do with how you price your crystals or your clothes or your whatever, your nail service or whatever. But if you price, this can be a crystal, this can be a piece of art that you draw, whatever it is. If you price something for $2 and you're gonna make $1 single off of it, it's like you've put all this energy into sourcing this material, you bought it for $1, for example, it's a crystal, let's just say for example, you're gonna try and sell it for $2, you make a $1 profit. You are not going to put your energy into trying to sell it. There's part of you that's gonna be like, what is the point of making that $1? And that's not because you're not grateful. It's always good to be grateful for every dollar we make. But energetically, if you are undervaluing yourself, your products, your art, your coaching, your courses, whatever it is, if you are undervaluing whatever you're selling, you are not going to have the drive and the inspiration to sell it, because part of you knows, when I sell it, I'm going to be disappointed. When I sell it, it's not going to be worth the time and energy and effort that I put into it. And so part of you is not going to want to sell it. So you're not going to. You're literally not going to. You're not going to take the action you need to take to sell whatever it is. On the other side of the spectrum, if you buy this crystal for $1 and you're like, I'm going to sell this $1 crystal for $800, and that doesn't feel good to you, and you're like, that's way overpriced, I'm price gouging, I'm ripping people off, like this is a ripoff. If you're thinking about that when you're trying to sell a $1 crystal for $800, or your piece of art for $800 that you don't feel is worth that for whatever reason, it's up to you to either work on recognizing the worth and the value behind the service or product you're providing for that level of money, $800, or don't sell it for that high of an amount if you can't energetically get behind it. Because if you're selling a crystal, for example, for $800 and you feel like you're ripping someone off, once again, you are not going to promote that crystal. Your energy is not going to be behind the actual sale of the thing. Your energy is not going to be there, and people can feel that. And someone is going to feel your energy. Even if there's someone who buys $800 crystals, they're going to feel your energy and be like, this is not quite there. So, how do you actually price it? How do you actually price it? If you can't go too low, because then you won't actually sell it, and you can't go too high, because then you won't actually sell it. And once again, this is not because the crystal is not worth $1 and the crystal is not worth $800. The crystal's value, the art's value, the coaching's value, the whatever's value is literally all perceived. It is all perceived. It is not real. This crystal is worth nothing. It's an illusion, but it's also worth everything because it's an energetic exchange between people. Of somebody is exchanging money to receive this crystal, and this crystal is coming into their life for a purpose, whether it's decoration, meditation, whatever. This can be said about any product or service. The value is all perceived. There's no actual value there. So if the value is perceived, and if you can't get behind $1 because it's way too cheap, if you can't get behind $800, you have to ask yourself, how much should I sell this crystal for? How much should I do this coaching package for? How much should I sell my artwork for? And you have to play around with some numbers until you find one that feels right. I bought this crystal in this example for $1. I bought it for more than that. But in this example, I bought this crystal for $1. And now I have to sit and think, okay, $1, $2 doesn't feel quite right. But maybe if I just sold it for $8, that feels really good to me. Get into kind of a practice of playing around with does that feel good upping the value? Does that feel good decreasing a little bit? And a lot of times when you practice this, a number will instantly pop into your head once you get in the hang of it, especially with physical objects like crystals. If you have a product or service that you offer, a lot of times you'll get into the groove of this is how much the coaching is going to cost. This is how much it's going to cost. And then it will get to a point where you are no longer receiving that abundance that you initially received, because either you are fully booked and you don't have the same amount of time that you had at the beginning when you had those lower prices, or there's so many different variables that can happen. But there will come a time in your business, in your life, where you realize that something needs to change. And that something might just be that you need to recognize that your value that you are giving has gone up. And this might not exactly equate to crystals, but especially with services. Like if you are coaching someone, if you are doing someone's nails, if you are doing an art commission for somebody, if you've been doing these and getting in the groove of them and you feel really practiced in them and you're getting like booked up, there comes a point where you are going to need to up your price in order to continue to enjoy that, continue to give to that same level. Because I've seen this in my husband's business, especially because he does commissions. He's an artist. He has upped his price over and over. And every time he's at this place where he has a million commissions going on, he barely has enough time to do any of them. He's just like, he's not overworking because he loves what he does, but that's like, he's overloaded with commissions. And every time when he ups his prices, he comes back to this equilibrium where he's getting paid more and doing a little bit less, but the quality's there, the value is there. And so that he's still doing the same, for one piece of art, he's doing the same level of work, putting the same energy and love and intention and whatever into it, but he's receiving more because he perceives his value as higher, and other people then perceive it as higher. And if your energy is behind your product or service, if your energy is behind it, people are going to see that. Your abundance, the money you receive, the numbers in your bank account, whatever's going on in your life, 100,000,000% only has to do with you. It is all you. It is not your customers. It is not your business. It is not if you bought good crystals or bad crystals. It is not if you're a good artist or a bad artist. It is you and the value you perceive in yourself and the value you can truly energetically get behind pricing your products and services at. And so with services, there may be a natural kind of scaling of your business where you are growing in confidence and growing in skill level, and you're continuing to up your prices as you go and as you get more booked out, and then you need to kind of do a little less work and get paid a little bit more. That is going to naturally occur, but every single time you up your prices, there might be some fear there, and that's okay. There might be some self-doubt, some imposter syndrome, and that is okay. But it is up to you to energetically get behind yourself and your decision and recognize, I'm upping my prices for a good reason. They are worth this. I am worth this. My time is worth this. It is up to you to get behind it, and that is when you will magnetize the people, the clients, the sales. When it comes to crystals, physical products, I'll just talk about crystals because that's what I sell mostly. That's the majority of my income is crystals. Crystals, they are a physical product, and when it comes to marking it up retail wise, I follow that rule when it's like I've got a lot of crystals that are like pretty similar in size and shape and color. I will just like do that general rule. If I have unique raw crystals, I will do the retail markup, and then I will see, okay, does this crystal have like a crack in it? Then I'm gonna lower the price a little. Does this crystal have like some perfect formations? I'm gonna up the price a little. This is up to you. And in order to be comfortable with pricing crystals, I trust in my eye for crystals. I trust in my eye with this is a really, really special piece, or this piece needs to find a home for a little bit less. I trust my eye with crystals because I love them. I'm passionate about them. I know the energy I put into sourcing them. There's energy that I put into working on my abundance. There's energy I put into organizing my shop. There is so much energy I put behind the scenes besides just buying crystals, upping the price, and reselling them. So I know my value as a shop owner, so I feel comfortable putting some crystals a little bit above the markup or a little bit below the markup, depending on the crystal. You have to energetically get behind whatever decision you're going to make. That is the only thing you have to do. And if you feel weird about pricing something, you got this crystal for $1, you feel weird selling it for even $2. This is something that you can practice. Is when you look at anyone's business, especially if you're looking to sell crystals or whatever, you're looking to sell coaching. If you look at anybody with higher prices than you, practice allowance, acceptance. Practice saying, you go girl, get it. Yes, amazing, good for you for valuing yourself, your products, your services at that level. That will be me. Practice that instead of, this is how I used to look at it. And this gets into the energetic work that goes behind owning a business, and this can be applied once again to any product and service. It used to be with me, I used to look and say, oh, that's expensive. They way overpriced that. They marked that up. As soon as I'm saying that about another business, even if I wouldn't personally mark the crystals to that high of a price, I'm limiting myself. I am casting judgment on somebody else's decision. And in doing that, subconsciously, I'm going to limit myself. Whether or not I'm going to price the crystals the same, it doesn't matter. So every time I look at somebody doing anything in their business, even if somebody's charging $500,000 for a coaching session or something, practice saying, yes, good for them. I might not agree with that. That might not be my pricing, but good for them. They have decided their value, they have decided their worth, and I hope that they find their client and send them love. And that is how you can practice non-judgment. And so you can feel more comfortable doing what you feel called to do within your business, within your products and services, when you are not judging anybody else for what they're doing. That is so important. And another thing is, this is a powerful lesson in abundance that can sometimes take a while to get, but I feel like this is also very important to say. If you have a perspective that spending money is bad, you are always going to be limited. Instead, a very powerful perspective to shift into is the more money I spend, the more value I receive. Instead of looking at, oh no, I spent money, what's wrong with me? Or it's good to spend less money. And I'm not saying that you have to spend a lot of money to be abundant. It's about feeling comfortable with the potential of higher spending. It's about feeling comfortable oh, this thing's on sale. That's abundance. This thing is higher priced at a higher price point, but I'm going to receive more value for it. That's abundance. It's all about your energy behind it. So if you are looking at spending $500 on a crystal as this waste, this loss, there's no value in that, you are in lack a little bit. And this doesn't mean that you have to go out and spend $500 on a crystal. That crystal might not call to you. That's fine. You don't have to go spend $500 on a crystal. But if you can look at a $500 crystal and instead of saying, that's ridiculous, that's overpriced, instead look at it as, if I were to spend $500 on this crystal, I would do it intentionally, as an investment, as a practice of releasing money. Look at it as this abundant thing to practice releasing that amount of money. Look at it as a valuable investment. I actually, every time I have leaped in my business income-wise, I have intentionally spent a higher amount on not only wholesale crystals, but also personal crystals. I've spent I'm gonna buy a $600 crystal because this version of me that is making this amount of money and that is feeling this abundant doesn't mind investing that in a crystal that I truly love. And it doesn't have to be crystals. It can be, I am intentionally going to invest in this few $100 course because it feels really good to me. That is what the abundant version of me would do. And here's another way of looking at it. Generally, energetically, people who receive free things, some people who receive them are so grateful and they run with it. And the free stuff, it's yay, it helps them out so much. It's great. Generally though, if there's a free course, people do not see any value in it. If there is a free seminar, people don't see the value in it. The same way, if they were to intentionally spend $100 on that course. Even more so, same exact course. If someone intentionally spent $1,000 on that course, you bet they're gonna do that whole entire fucking course and pay attention to every single detail and do all of the homework and everything because they put energy into it. They perceive this value. The person who grabs the free course, so often they don't even do it at all because they have invested no energy into it. They have not perceived any value in it being free. So it's good to have free things. It's good to have, whatever. It's always about what energy is behind it. But just know, whether this crystal's free, $1, $2, $500, it literally doesn't matter. It's about how you perceive the value and how the buyer perceives the value. And your job is to energetically get behind the value of your product or service. And these are just ways that you can practice that by looking at higher priced things and perceiving a value in them instead of thinking, oh, that's ridiculous. Look at it as in a positive, abundant light. That is a really good way to be able to start perceiving higher value. Continue to work on your wealth consciousness. I can never stress this enough. Just keep learning about it. Keep educating yourself. There's so much to learn and explore here. And continue to play around and try things out. You never know what your sweet spot is going to be with your product or service. And don't be afraid to continue to grow, continue to transform, continue to up-level. And whenever you get to a place in your life or business where you feel overwhelmed, overloaded, there needs to be some sort of energetic rework. And a lot of times you need to start perceiving higher value in yourself and let that then be reflected in your business. So I hope this helped you learn how to price things generally with crystals 2.5 to 3 times and then go from there. It is truly up to you to figure out what works for you, and just have fun, play around. You can't get it wrong. And yeah, have a beautiful day. Bye.